Well, friends, hello everyone. Before anything else happens tonight, take a slow breath. There is nowhere you need to go. There is nothing you need to remember. For a while, the modern world can remain far away. This story begins quietly, but it begins with a question. What if you lived one ordinary day in 1776 America? Not a famous day. Not a day of speeches or battles. Just a simple, unnoticed day, lived by ordinary people, in a world without electricity, without engines, without constant noise. Imagine this like the opening moments of a calm historical film. The screen is dark at first. Then slowly, very slowly, light begins to appear. This is Story of America. If you enjoy calm, historical night stories like this one, consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like under the video, and sharing a comment. These small actions help this quiet space continue to exist, night after night. Now, let us step inside the past. The year is 1776. America is young, uncertain, and wide. There are no glowing streets, no humming machines, no distant traffic. Life here follows the sun, the seasons, and the steady rhythm of human hands. Morning does not arrive with an alarm. It arrives with light. The first pale glow slips across the horizon, touching the tops of trees and the edges of wooden buildings. The air is cool and clean, carrying the scent of damp earth, smoke from distant chimneys, and grass heavy with dew. A quiet town begins to emerge from darkness. Wooden houses line a narrow dirt street. Their walls are weathered, their shapes uneven, built by hands rather than machines. Windows reflect the early light softly, imperfect glass, bending the world just slightly. Inside one modest home, the air is still. The room is small but solid. Thick wooden beams run overhead. A table stands near the center, its surface worn smooth by decades of use. A few simple chairs rest nearby, pushed in carefully at the end of the night before. A body lies beneath heavy wool blankets. Breathing is slow and deep. Sleep lingers gently, unafraid of being interrupted. There is no urgency here, no reason to wake before the light fully arrives. Outside, a rooster calls. Once, then again. The sound carries across the quiet street. Not sharp, not loud, but familiar. It is not a command. It is simply a signal that the day is ready to begin. Somewhere farther away, another sound answers. A door opening. Footsteps on packed earth. The faint creak of wood as a cart is shifted into place. Inside, eyes open slowly. The room is painted in soft blue morning light. Shadows rest calmly along the walls. Cold air brushes bare skin as the blankets are drawn back. Feet touch the wooden floor. It is cool beneath them, grounding, real. The body stands without haste, moving the way it has moved every morning before this one. Near the hearth, yesterday's ashes rest quietly. A few pieces of firewood wait beside it, stacked neatly. A match is struck. Flame flares briefly, then settles as the fire begins its slow return. Warmth spreads outward, gentle and steady. Light grows. The room fills with the soft orange glow of the hearth. Shadows stretch and move, breathing with the flame. The smell of smoke and wood fills the air, comforting and familiar. This is how an ordinary day begins in 1776 America. Quietly, naturally, without force. There's no rush, no noise pressing in. Only the slow unfolding of time. You are safe here. You are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to rest as this day gently begins. The fire settles into a steady glow, no longer flaring, no longer struggling. It has found its rhythm, just as the day is finding its own. Warmth spreads across the room slowly, reaching into the corners where night still lingers. The cold in the floorboards eases, though it does not disappear completely. A reminder that the world outside is still cool, still early. A kettle waits nearby. It is lifted carefully and set near the embers, where it will warm without complaint. There is no whistle to announce when it is ready. Its progress is measured by patience alone. Light continues to grow at the window. The glass is thick and imperfect, rippling the view beyond it. Outside, the dirt street becomes clearer. The shapes of buildings sharpen. Wooden signs hang still, creaking faintly as a breeze passes through. A simple shirt is pulled on. The fabric is coarse but familiar, softened by years of washing and wear. Sleeves slide over arms slowly. Each movement is practiced, unconscious, guided by routine rather than thought. Water is poured into a small basin. The sound is deep and hollow, echoing softly in the quiet room. Hands dip into the cool water, splashing gently against skin. The cold sharpens the senses just enough to fully wake the body. Outside, the town stirs. Footsteps pass by the house. A low voice speaks briefly, then fades. Somewhere nearby, a cartwheel turns slowly, wood against wood, then comes to rest. Breakfast is simple. A small pot of porridge is set over the fire. The spoon moves in slow circles, scraping gently against iron. Bread baked days earlier is sliced carefully. Nothing is wasted. Everything has a purpose. Eating is quiet. There is no background noise, no rush to finish. Each bite brings warmth and steadiness, grounding the body for the day ahead. The fire crackles softly nearby, its sound blending with the stillness rather than interrupting it. The bowl is rinsed and set aside. The day waits, wide and unhurried. A coat is lifted from a peg near the door. Boots are pulled on slowly, the leather stiff at first, then yielding. The door opens with a familiar wooden sound, and cool morning air enters the room. Stepping outside feels like entering a larger silence. The street stretches ahead, empty but expectant. The earth beneath each step is firm, shaped by years of passing feet and wheels. The air smells of smoke, damp wood, and morning. Above, the sky is pale and open. Clouds drift slowly, their shapes unimportant, their movement barely noticeable. The sun remains low, casting long shadows across the street and the front of the houses. Work will begin soon, not because of a schedule, not because of a clock, but because the light has arrived. This is how an ordinary morning unfolds in 1776 America. Without urgency, without noise, with quiet certainty. The street carries the quiet memory of many mornings like this one. Its surface is uneven, pressed firm by years of footsteps, hooves, and wooden wheels. Small stones sit half buried in the dirt, unmoved, familiar. Nothing here is new. Everything has earned its place through repetition. As you walk, the town reveals itself slowly. Doors open one by one, not all at once. A man steps outside and pauses, adjusting his coat before moving on. A woman appears briefly in a doorway, setting something down, then disappears back inside. These movements are small, unannounced, part of the steady rhythm of waking life. A cart waits near the edge of the street. Its wooden wheels are darkened by age and use. A hand rests on its side for a moment, steadying it before it is pulled into motion. The sound of wood against earth is low and dull, blending easily into the morning air. The sun lifts slightly higher. Its light grows warmer, touching the fronts of buildings and the tops of barrels stacked near doorways. Shadows shorten just enough to be noticed, slipping back toward the walls that cast them. There is no rush in the town. No one moves quickly. No one speaks loudly. The day does not demand speed. It asks only for presence. A familiar path leads away from the houses. It curves gently, following the shape of the land rather than cutting straight through it. Grass grows along its edges, heavy with dew that darkens the hem of trousers as you pass. Beyond the town, the land opens. Fields stretch outward, quiet and waiting. Fences trace uneven lines across the ground, their posts leaning slightly, shaped by weather and time. Trees stand farther off, their leaves barely moving in the light breeze. Tools rest where they were left the night before. They are gathered slowly, one by one. A wooden handle fits easily into the hand. The weight is familiar, reassuring. There is no need to think about what to do next. The body remembers. Work begins. Soil is turned carefully, not hurried. The earth resists at first, then yields. Roots are loosened, lifted, set aside. Each motion follows the last in a steady pattern that feels almost meditative. The air warms gradually. Breath deepens. Muscles awaken fully, stretching and settling into their purpose. Sweat forms slowly, naturally, without discomfort. It is simply part of effort, nothing more. Sounds remain few. The soft scrape of metal against soil. The rustle of grass. A bird calling once, then falling silent again. Each sound stands alone, unlayered, easy to notice or ignore. Time stretches. Not because it is long, but because it is uninterrupted. There is no reason to hurry. What matters is not how quickly the work is done, but that it is done with care. The sun continues its steady climb. Light shifts across the land, warming shoulders and back. Shadows move slowly, almost imperceptibly, marking the passage of the morning without needing to be counted. This is how the day begins to take shape in 1776 America. Through simple effort, through quiet routine, through the steady partnership between body and land. Nothing extraordinary happens. And that is exactly the point. By late morning, the day has found its balance. The sun stands higher now, its warmth steady and even. Light rests fully on the land, filling the spaces between trees and fences, settling into the folds of the earth. Nothing is hidden anymore. Everything that will happen today can happen now, under this open sky. The body moves with quiet confidence. Muscles no longer hesitate. They have warmed into their work, responding smoothly to each motion. There is a sense of ease now, not because the work is finished, but because the body has accepted it fully. Sweat forms slowly along the brow. It is not uncomfortable. It is simply a sign of effort, as natural as breath. A sleeve lifts to wipe the forehead, then falls back into place. The gesture is small, practiced, almost unconscious. The air carries layers of scent, warm earth, drying grass, the faint trace of wood smoke drifting from town. Each smell arrives gently, lingers briefly, then fades, replaced by another. None of them demand attention. They simply exist. Nearby, the sound of work continues. Metal meets wood. Soil shifts. A rope tightens, then relaxes. These sounds are not sharp or sudden. They are muted by distance and open air, blending easily into the steady quiet of the morning. A bird lands briefly on a fence post. It pauses, head tilted, observing the world without concern. Then, just as quietly, it lifts again and disappears into the sky. Its presence leaves no mark, only a brief moment of movement against stillness. The sun shifts again, not enough to be noticed at first, but enough to change the feeling of the light. It grows slightly brighter, slightly firmer. Shadows retreat further, gathering close to the bases of trees and buildings. This is the hour when the body begins to sense hunger again. Not sharp, not urgent, just a gentle reminder that effort has been given and energy will need to be returned. The thought arrives quietly, then drifts away to be answered later. There is no need to stop yet. Work continues, but the pace softens. Movements grow more deliberate, more careful. Precision replaces strength. Small tasks take the place of larger ones. A fence is checked. A board is pressed back into place. It holds. Not perfectly, but well enough. Perfection is not required here. Function and care are enough. The land feels patient. It does not rush those who work upon it. It does not reward speed. It responds best to steadiness, to attention, to hands that know when to push and when to pause. Standing still for a moment, you can feel the day stretching, not forward, but outward. Time does not press, it opens. This is late morning in 1776 America. a space between beginnings and endings, a quiet fullness, a steady calm that carries the day gently forward. Midday arrives like a slow, warm breath. The sun stands near its highest point now, and the light feels different. Not softer, not sharper, just more direct, more steady. It rests on shoulders and fields, alike with a quiet certainty, as if the day has reached the center of itself. The world does not become louder. It becomes stiller. Even the breeze seems to pause more often, drifting only in small, gentle movements that barely stir the grass. The air feels full, warm near the ground, clean higher up, and the scent of earth is stronger now, released by the sun's heat. Work naturally slows, not because it must, but because the body understands the shape of the day. Effort eases when the sun is strongest, not from weakness, but from wisdom. The land will still be here in an hour. The tasks will wait. A shaded place is found. Beneath a tree, the light breaks into soft patterns, moving slowly across the ground as leaves shift in the faint air. The shade feels cooler immediately, like stepping into a quieter room. A simple meal is brought out. Bread again, perhaps, a bit of salted meat or dried fruit. Something small, practical enough. Food here is not about variety. It is about steadiness. It is about carrying the body through the hours. Eating is slow. Hands hold food with familiarity, fingers pressing into rough crust, feeling its texture. Each bite is measured. The jaw moves quietly. The throat swallows without hurry. The act of eating feels calm, almost meditative, matching the slow rhythm of the day. Water follows. It tastes faintly of wood and iron, cool and plain. It settles in the chest, easing the warmth, grounding the body. For a moment, everything feels balanced. Hunger answered, thirst eased, effort paused. The world around remains gentle. Insects hum in the distance, their sound rising and falling like a low, living tide. Birds call less now, saving their voices for morning and evening. The town beyond the field seems quieter too, its small movements softened by the heat. This is the hour when the mind drifts most easily. Thoughts do not hold tight, they loosen and float. A memory rises, fades. A feeling appears, dissolves. There's no need to follow anything. Nothing requires attention. The body rests without guilt. There's no idea of wasting time here. Rest is part of work. It is built into the day as naturally as breathing. To pause is not to fail. It is to live in rhythm with the sun. A hand reaches to touch the bark of the tree. It is rough, warm in places where sunlight has reached it, cool in others where shadow holds. The texture is grounding, real, a quiet reminder of how solid this world is. After a while, without noticing exactly when, the body begins to feel ready again. Not energized like a machine, just willing. A shift in posture, a deeper breath, fingers flex, then relax. The mind returns softly, without urgency. Midday passes, not as something that ends, but as something that blends into what comes next. And as the sun begins its slow, almost invisible decline, the day prepares to unfold into afternoon with the same calm certainty it carried through the morning. The afternoon begins quietly, as if the day is careful not to disturb its own peace. The sun has moved only slightly, but the change can be felt. Light is still bright, still steady, yet it no longer feels like it is pressing downward. It begins to lean just a little, stretching shadows in subtle ways. The world seems to relax as the heat loosens its hold. Work returns, but it returns gently. Hands take up tasks that do not require force, only attention. Things are checked, adjusted, prepared. Small repairs are made before they become large problems. This is the work of endurance, the quiet kind that keeps life steady. A fence line is walked. The ground is firm beneath each step, grass bending and springing back. Posts stand in uneven intervals, each one shaped by weather and time. A hand rests on the wood as you pass, feeling its roughness, its warmth. The places where sun has dried it smooth. A loose rail is noticed. It has shifted slightly, not enough to fall, but enough to need care. Fingers test it. The wood gives a little. A small tool is used to press it back into place, to tighten it, to make it hold again. The action is slow and practical, with no frustration in it, only quiet attention. Nearby, animals move lazily. A chicken steps through grass, pecking lightly at the ground. A horse stands in a shaded area, tail swishing gently, ears turning toward distant sounds. Their presence is calm, unhurried, as if they too feel the softening of the day. Water is refreshed. A bucket is carried, not rushed, the weight swinging slightly with each step. Water pours into a trough with a deep, steady sound. The surface ripples, then settles. The animals drink slowly. Everything here happens at a pace that feels natural. The air begins to cool in small ways. Not enough to be called cool yet, but enough that the skin notices. The breeze returns more often, drifting through the field and along the edge of the town. It carries the scent of dried grass and distant smoke, hints of evening beginning far ahead. The town itself continues its quiet movement. From the field, you can see small signs of life. A figure crossing a street, a door opening and closing, smoke rising from a chimney, thin and steady. No crowds, no commotion. Just the slow pulse of ordinary life. Afternoon light changes the world's colors. Greens deepen, browns warm. The sky becomes a softer shade of blue. Even the shadows feel less sharp, more like gentle shapes than dark lines. This is the hour when the body begins to feel the day behind it. Not exhaustion, not heaviness, but a quiet awareness. Muscles hold the memory of work. Hands carry the sensation of tools. There is satisfaction in it, a feeling that something real has been done. A brief pause comes again, naturally. Standing still, you can hear the world more clearly. The low hum of insects, the distant sound of a cartwheel turning, a bird calling once, then falling silent, the soft whisper of grass moving in the breeze. Nothing interrupts, nothing demands. Afternoon continues, and with every slow shift of light and air, evening grows closer. Not like an ending, but like a soft destination waiting patiently ahead. As the sun continues its slow drift westward, the day begins to soften at the edges. It is not yet evening, but the world already carries the feeling of it. The air grows slightly clearer, as if it has been rinsed by time. Heat eases without disappearing completely. The light becomes warmer, not brighter, and the land seems to relax into it. Work begins to gather itself up. Not in a rushed way, not as if something must be finished before dark, but in a calm, practical way. Things are brought back to order. Tools are returned. Small tasks are completed so that tomorrow can begin smoothly, without confusion. A tool is wiped clean with a cloth. Dirt falls away in small flakes. Metal darkens with use, but it is cared for all the same. The cloth moves slowly, removing what can be removed, leaving behind only the honest signs of work. A bundle is tied. Rope wraps around it carefully, pulled snug but not harsh. The knot is made with practiced fingers. The motion so familiar it feels effortless. The bundle is lifted and set aside. It will be carried later or tomorrow. There is no urgency in deciding. The sun's warmth rests on the shoulders a little differently now. It comes at an angle, touching one side more than the other, and shadows begin to stretch in longer lines across the ground. Fence posts cast thin, dark shapes that reach farther than they did before. Trees extend their shade outward, slowly claiming more of the field. The sound of the town changes too. Not louder, but more present. As evening approaches, small movements become easier to notice. A cartwheel rolling over packed earth, a door closing, a brief exchange of voices. The day is gently folding itself inward, drawing people back toward home. Animals sense it. The horse shifts, moving closer to the shelter of a fence line. Chickens gather nearer to their familiar places. They are not driven by clocks, but by light, by instinct, by the slow certainty that night will come. A faint smell of cooking begins to drift through the air. It is subtle at first, carried on the breeze, smoke mixed with something richer, perhaps onions warming in a pot, perhaps bread being heated again. The scent does not demand hunger, but it creates a quiet expectation, a gentle reminder that evening brings warmth and food. The body feels the day settling into memory. Hands are still strong, still capable, but they no longer seek new tasks. Shoulders lower slightly. The mind feels less focused on work and more open to stillness. There's a moment when you simply stand and look. Across the field, toward the town, up at the sky. Clouds drift slowly, their edges soft in the warm light. The sky holds a quiet gradient, pale near the horizon, deeper above. The world looks cinematic now, as if prepared for a closing scene. This is the hour when everything begins to slow. Not because it must, but because it is time. The day has given what it can. The land has accepted effort, and now the quiet pull of home grows stronger. Evening is not a sudden arrival. It is a gentle turning. And as the sun lowers further, the path back begins to feel inevitable, calm, and welcome. The walk back toward home feels like a return to something familiar and warm. The path is the same one taken in the morning, yet it feels different now. The light has changed. The air has softened. The world carries the weight of the day in a quiet, satisfied way, as if everything has been gently used and is now ready to rest. Footsteps fall steadily on packed earth. Each step is unhurried. The sound is dull, comforting, almost rhythmic. Gravel shifts slightly beneath the sole, then settles again. The land does not resist. It simply holds you. The sun sits lower now. Its light spills sideways across the ground, catching the edges of grass and fence rails and turning them briefly to gold. The shadows of trees stretch long and slow, reaching across the path like dark ribbons. A breeze moves through the field again. It is cooler now, carrying more evening than afternoon. It brushes along the face, lifts a loose strand of hair, and carries with it the scent of smoke from chimneys beginning to work harder. Somewhere in the town, fires are being built again. Meals are being prepared. The night is being welcomed. As the houses come into view, the town feels calmer than it did earlier. It is not empty, but it is quieter. People move more slowly. Voices are fewer. The sense of completion grows stronger, as if the day is gently closing its eyes. Smoke rises in thin, steady lines. It curls upward from chimneys, drifting into the evening sky. Against the warm light, the smoke looks pale and soft, dissolving as it rises. The smell is comforting, earthy, familiar. It clings lightly to the air and then fades. A wooden door opens somewhere nearby. The sound is brief, followed by the low murmur of someone speaking inside. Then, the door closes again. The town does not echo with noise. Sounds appear and disappear like small ripples on still water. The house stands ahead, waiting. Its wooden walls are darkened by age, but the low sun warms them gently. The windows catch light like small pools of gold. The roofline cuts a simple shape against the sky, solid and steady. Approaching it brings a quiet sense of relief. Not because the day was difficult, but because rest is natural. Because home is a place where effort can end without needing to be explained. The door opens with a familiar groan. Inside, the air feels warmer immediately. The space holds a faint memory of the morning fire, of smoke and wood and fabric. Shadows rest in corners. The room is dim, but not dark. It feels protected. Boots are removed slowly. Leather creaks as they come off. Feet touch the floor again, cooler now than earlier, but familiar. A coat is hung carefully on a peg. Tools are set down where they belong, not dropped, not forgotten. The house creaks softly, settling around you. It is not a sign of weakness. It is the language of wood. the quiet sound of a structure that has lived through many days and nights. The hearth is tended again. Ash is shifted. A few pieces of dry wood are placed carefully. Flame catches, then steadies. Warmth returns to the center of the room, spreading outward in slow waves. Light changes. Firelight makes the room feel smaller, calmer, more intimate. Shadows deepen, and the outside world begins to feel farther away. Evening has arrived. Not loudly, not suddenly, but with a quiet certainty that feels safe. The day is still present in the body, in the hands, in the mind. But now, the night begins its gentle work. Inside the home, evening unfolds like a slow, careful ritual. Nothing here is rushed. Nothing is done sharply. Even simple movements seem softer now, as if the body has decided to speak in a quieter voice. The day's effort remains in the muscles, but it no longer feels like work. It feels like something completed, something that can now be set down. The fire becomes steady. Flames rise and settle, not roaring, only warming. Embers gather beneath the logs, glowing with a deep orange red that feels almost alive. The heat spreads slowly across the room, pushing back the cool air that followed you inside. A candle is brought out. It is placed carefully on the table, as if it is something precious. A match is struck, and the flame appears briefly, bright and sharp, then softens as it touches the wick. The candlelight joins the firelight, creating layers of warmth and shadow. The room changes with that small flame. Corners deepen. The table becomes a brighter island in the center, its worn surface catching light in smooth patches. The walls glow faintly where flame reaches them, leaving the rest to settle into comfortable darkness. Supper begins quietly. A pot is placed near the hearth. Something simple warms inside it. Perhaps a stew with vegetables and a small portion of meat. Perhaps beans, slowly thickened with salt and thyme. The smell rises gradually, filling the room with a gentle richness. It is not overwhelming, it is comforting. Bowls are set on the table, each one slightly different, shaped by hand, not uniform. Utensils are placed with quiet precision. A cloth is spread, not decorative, simply practical, softening the table and catching crumbs. Eating is slow. The spoon scrapes softly against the bowl. Steam rises, faint in the warm air. Each bite brings warmth into the chest, spreading through the body like a calm answer to the day's work. There is little conversation, not because there is tension, but because silence feels natural here. Words are used when needed, saved when not. The fire crackles softly, filling the space with a sound that feels enough. Outside, night gathers. Through the window, the sky darkens slowly, deepening from warm dusk into richer blue. The first stars appear, faint at first, then clearer, shining steadily in the open sky. There is no artificial glow outside, no streetlights, no distant hum. Only darkness, honest and complete. After the meal, the bowls are cleared. Water is poured into a basin. Hands rinse and wipe with practiced motion. The sound of water is soft and hollow, then fades. Everything is returned to its place, ready for tomorrow. The body begins to loosen. Shoulders lower, the jaw relaxes. The weight of fatigue spreads gently, not as heaviness, but as comfort. The kind of tiredness that asks for rest rather than distraction. A chair is pulled closer to the hearth. Wood creaks under its own age. The chair accepts the body's weight with familiarity, as if it has done this countless nights before. Sitting near the fire feels like being held by warmth. The candle burns steadily. Wax begins to soften and run slowly down its side. Time passes with it, quiet and unmeasured. Shadows breathe gently along the walls, moving with the smallest currents of air. This is the heart of evening in 1776 America, a time when the world narrows to warmth and stillness, when day becomes memory, when night becomes shelter. And as the fire continues its gentle glow, the room grows calmer, quieter, preparing itself for the long, dark kindness of sleep. The night outside grows deeper, and the house seems to lean into its own quiet. Darkness presses gently against the windows, turning the room into a protected island of warmth. The world beyond the walls becomes distant, softened, as if it has stepped back to give this small space full permission to rest. The fire has changed again. Flames are lower now, less eager, more settled. They move slowly, rising and falling in calm waves. Embers glow beneath them with a steady, breathing light. The heat is constant, not intense, just enough to be comforting. The candle's flame is smaller too. It flickers when air shifts, then steadies again. Its light pools on the table, leaving the corners of the room in deep shadow. Shapes soften, edges disappear. Everything becomes less defined, more peaceful. The body feels heavier now, not in a troubling way, in a gentle way. A welcome weight, like sinking into a warm bed or being wrapped in a thick blanket. Muscles release what they have been holding all day. The spine rests, hands loosen in the lap. Breathing slows. Each inhale comes deeper, fuller, as if the lungs are finally given room to expand. Each exhale lasts slightly longer than the last, carrying away the remaining tension in the chest and shoulders. Sound becomes simpler. A log settles in the hearth with a soft crack. An ember shifts and glows brighter for a moment. The candle makes a faint whisper as it burns. Outside, crickets begin their steady chorus, one by one, until their sound becomes a quiet fabric laid across the night. Somewhere farther away, an owl calls once. Then silence returns. Nothing intrudes. Nothing demands attention. The mind begins to drift. Thoughts appear less like words and more like impressions. A feeling of warmth. A memory of sunlight on fields. The sensation of steady work. These fragments rise and fade without needing to be followed. There is no rush to sleep. Sleep in this world is not chased. It is not forced. It is trusted to arrive when it is ready. A blanket is drawn closer. Wool settles across shoulders, heavy and warm. It carries the faint scent of smoke and clean fabric. The weight of it is grounding, reassuring, making the body feel held. The chair creaks softly as posture shifts. A head leans back slightly. The jaw relaxes further. Eyelids begin to feel heavier, blinking slower. Vision softens, and the flame becomes less a shape and more a presence. Time stops being important. There is no clock ticking loudly. No glowing numbers marking minutes. The night does not ask to be measured. It only asks to be lived. The fire continues its gentle breathing. The candle continues to burn. The room grows quieter, darker at the edges, warmer at the center. This is the threshold, the space between wakefulness and sleep, where thoughts dissolve, where the body takes over completely. And as the night deepens outside and the house holds steady around you, sleep begins to feel close, waiting patiently just beyond awareness. The moment before sleep stretches softly, like a long, calm breath held without effort. Nothing changes quickly now. Everything in the room moves at the pace of the candle flame. Slow, steady, almost still. The house feels quieter than it did even a few minutes ago, as if it has lowered its voice further, careful not to disturb the rest that is beginning to settle in. The fire has become a deeper glow. Flames no longer rise as high. They linger close to the wood, moving gently, occasionally licking upward before settling again. Beneath them, embers pulse softly under a thin layer of ash, like a heartbeat seen through warm darkness. The candle has burned lower. Its flame grows smaller, more focused, hovering close to the wick. Wax gathers and spills down its side in slow, quiet streams. In the pooled wax below, the light reflects faintly, trembling when the flame shifts. Shadows fill the room in a peaceful way. Corners disappear into darkness. The outlines of furniture soften. The world becomes less defined, as if it is slowly dissolving into the calm of night. The body responds, Shoulders sink, hands grow loose, the muscles in the face relax until expression disappears. Breathing deepens again, steady and unforced. The space between breaths becomes longer. Each inhale feels cool and clean. Each exhale feels warm, as if the body is releasing the day through breath alone. Outside, the night continues its quiet presence. The sky beyond the window is thick with darkness, and stars shine clearly, undisturbed by any artificial light. The world feels vast beyond the walls, yet inside, everything feels small and safe. A faint sound drifts in, perhaps wind passing through grass, perhaps a distant branch shifting, perhaps the quiet call of a night bird. The sound arrives gently and fades just as gently, leaving silence behind like a smooth surface. The mind loosens further. Thoughts no longer form as sentences. They arrive as soft sensations, warmth, stillness, a memory of sunlight and soil, a feeling of completion. Each one appears briefly, then dissolves without effort. There is no need to hold on to anything. In this world, sleep does not feel fragile. It feels certain. It feels like a natural part of the night, as inevitable as darkness itself. The candle flickers once. Shadows ripple across the wall, then settle. The flame steadies again, smaller than before. The room grows darker at the edges, the light retreating inward. The body becomes heavier. Not uncomfortable, not tight, just heavier, as if it is sinking gently into the chair, into warmth, into rest. The eyes blink slowly now, and each blink lasts longer than the last. Time becomes distant. There's no sense of how long evening has lasted or how much night remains. The idea of tomorrow feels far away, unimportant, waiting patiently beyond the horizon. This is the true beginning of sleep. Not the sudden closing of eyes, but the slow surrender of attention. The quiet letting go of the world. And as the fire continues to glow, and the candle burns lower still, wakefulness fades gently, leaving only warmth, darkness, and the steady rhythm of breath. Sleep begins to arrive in layers. It does not pull you under. It does not rush. It settles over the mind like soft cloth, one fold at a time, until thoughts become muffled, then distant, then gone. The room remains, the fire remains, the candle remains, but they drift farther away, as if the world is moving behind a curtain. The fire is quieter now. What once was flame becomes mostly glow. Embers breathe faintly beneath ash, their light pulsing slowly, deep and red. The warmth is still there, steady and reassuring, but it no longer feels like something to notice. It simply surrounds you. The candle grows small. Its flame tightens close to the wick, trembling when air shifts, then steadying again. Wax is pooled around the base like pale water, smooth and still. Time drips into that pool silently, without measurement. Darkness becomes more complete. The walls dissolve, the table disappears. The edges of the room soften until they no longer feel like edges at all. The space becomes warmth and shadow, held together by the quiet presence of the night. Outside, the land is fully asleep. Fields lie unseen, hidden beneath darkness. Trees stand as tall silhouettes under the stars, their branches still, their leaves quiet. The sky stretches endlessly above, wide and calm, with no artificial light to compete with the stars. Breathing slows further. The chest rises and falls gently, almost imperceptibly. Each breath feels effortless, guided entirely by the body's own quiet wisdom. The pauses between breaths lengthen, peaceful and unforced. The mind becomes empty in the best way. No thoughts remain to chase. No memories demand attention. No worries pull at the edges. Awareness softens until it feels like a distant glow rather than a focused point. A small sound comes from the hearth. A log settles with a gentle crack, sending a tiny spark upward before it disappears. The sound is brief and soft, not enough to disturb. It is simply the house speaking in its own language, then returning to stillness. The candle flickers again. Just once. Shadows shift, then settle. The flame steadies, dimmer now, and the light pulls back even more. Darkness fills the space calmly, without resistance. Time dissolves completely. There's no sense of minutes passing. No sense of how long the night has been. Everything feels suspended, as if the world has paused and decided to rest for a while. In 1776, America, this is how nights are meant to be. Deep, quiet, unbroken. No glowing screens, no distant engines. No sharp noise cutting through darkness. Only the steady, ancient pattern of rest. The fire dims further. The candle nears its end. And somewhere between one slow breath and the next, wakefulness fades entirely, leaving nothing but calm, warmth, and sleep. The night deepens into its quiet center. There is no clear moment when sleep becomes complete. It happens gradually, like the tide easing farther onto the shore, leaving the world gently submerged. Awareness fades until it is no longer anchored to the body or the room, only drifting somewhere soft and distant. The fire has almost finished its work. What remains is a low, steady glow beneath a veil of ash. The warmth lingers faintly in the room, enough to hold the night at bay, enough to keep the air gentle and kind. There is no sound from the hearth now. It has settled into silence. The candle reaches its end. The flame grows thin and quiet, trembling briefly, then leaning inward. Wax softens and pools one last time. When the flame finally disappears, it does so without drama, without a sound. Darkness fills the room completely, as if it has always been waiting. Darkness feels different here. Not empty, not cold, but full and calm. The house rests within it, unchanged, steady. Walls stand firm. Beams hold. The space remains protective even when unseen. Outside, the world is wrapped in night. The fields are hidden, the paths invisible. Trees stand motionless beneath the stars, their outlines barely suggested against the sky. Dew gathers quietly on grass and soil, forming without witness, without sound. Animals sleep deeply, some curled close to the ground, others standing quietly, heads lowered, bodies relaxed. The night holds them gently, asking nothing of them. Breathing continues, slow, even, unconscious. The body has released all effort. Muscles are loose, joints rest fully. There's no awareness of position or weight. The body exists, but it does not announce itself. The mind is silent now. No images rise, no thoughts form, no memories linger. There is only rest. Time has no meaning here. It does not pass quickly or slowly. It simply does not matter. The night stretches wide and endless, holding everything in its calm. This is how sleep lives in 1776 America, without interruption, without fear, without struggle. The darkness is not something to escape. It is something to trust. And as the stars continue their quiet watch over the land, and the house remains still beneath them, sleep holds the world gently, carrying it forward through the long, peaceful hours of the night. The deepest hours of the night pass without leaving footprints. They move quietly, like a shadow slipping across the land. Impossible to follow, impossible to measure. Nothing announces them. No sound marks their arrival or departure. The world simply remains in stillness, held by darkness and trust. Inside the house, everything is resting. The air has cooled slightly, but not enough to disturb. It settles into corners and along the floor, smooth and calm. The faint scent of ash and wood lingers like a memory, softened by time, barely present now. The hearth is quiet. Embers, if they still glow, glow faintly, deep beneath ash. A warmth that is felt more than seen. The heat remains gentle, holding the room in comfort, preventing the night from becoming too sharp. Outside, the town is asleep. Streets that were busy with small morning movements are empty now. Doors are closed, Windows are dark. No lanterns line the road. No distant hum reaches the ear. Only the soft, natural sounds of the night exist. Crickets continue their steady chorus. They do not grow louder. They do not stop. Their sound rises and falls in quiet waves, a living blanket spread across the darkness. Farther away, an owl calls once, then returns to silence, as if it too respects the stillness. The sky remains wide. Stars shine steadily overhead, clear and bright, untouched by artificial light. They feel closer in this world, not because they are nearer, but because nothing competes with them. They watch over the land without judgment or urgency. Dew thickens on the ground. It gathers on leaves and fences, coating the world in cool moisture. It forms slowly, patiently, preparing the earth for the morning to come. Animals remain at rest. A horse shifts its weight in the darkness, then grows still again. A dog breathes softly somewhere behind a closed door. The natural world sleeps in the same rhythm as the human one, guided by instinct and night. Inside, breathing remains steady, slow, deep, and unbroken. The body is fully surrendered to rest. Muscles are loose, the face is smooth. There's no tension left to release. Sleep holds firm, complete, and unquestioned. The mind is quiet. If dreams pass through, they leave no mark. They drift like faint mist and disappear. There is no awareness of them, only the deep calm of rest. Time continues to move, unnoticed. Hours pass quietly, slipping through the dark without being counted. Morning draws nearer somewhere beyond the horizon, but here, in the heart of night, it does not matter. This is the true stillness of 1776 America. A world without interruptions. A world without artificial light. A world where rest is deep and protected. And as the night continues its long, gentle hold, everything remains suspended in calm, breathing slowly beneath the patient sky. Somewhere far beyond the town, beyond the fields and the trees, the world begins its slow turn toward morning. No one notices it. Nothing announces it. The night remains deep and complete, yet the earth continues to move as it always does, carrying the darkness gently forward, carrying the future quietly toward the horizon. Inside the house, sleep still holds firm. The body rests heavy and still, as if it has become part of the furniture, part of the warmth, part of the silence. Breathing continues in a slow, steady rhythm, rising and falling so gently, it barely seems to move the air. The room remains dark. Without the candle, without the fire's flame, there is only shadow. Yet even in darkness, the space feels safe. The walls stand steady. The roof holds. The familiar scent of wood remains like a quiet comfort. The air cools slightly. Not enough to wake anyone, only enough to shift the feeling of the room. It settles near the floor, rises slowly, finds balance again. The house breathes with it, quiet and patient. Outside, the land sleeps deeply. Fields lie unseen beneath the stars. Fences trace invisible lines. Trees stand tall as silhouettes, their leaves still, their branches resting. The night wraps everything evenly, without preference. Dew continues to gather. It forms in silence, coating grass and soil with cool moisture. The world becomes heavier with it, as if the land is being gently weighed down into rest. The sky remains wide and clear. Stars hold steady overhead, shining with a calm certainty. Their light reaches down faintly, brushing rooftops and treetops with softness. Nothing interrupts their quiet presence. In the distance, water moves. A stream continues its path through darkness, unseen but constant. It does not hurry. It does not pause. It moves because it always has, guided by gravity and time older than memory. Inside, awareness floats in deep calm. There are no thoughts, no plans, no sense of self beyond breath. The mind rests in a quiet emptiness that feels peaceful rather than hollow. If dreams come, they come gently, They drift like smoke, without shape, without urgency, fading before they can be remembered. Sleep remains deep, smooth, uninterrupted. Time passes unnoticed. This world does not mark hours in the night. There is no ticking clock, no glowing numbers. The night belongs to itself, and it moves at its own steady pace. In 1776, America, the night is trusted. It is allowed to be long. It is allowed to be quiet. It is allowed to be complete. And as the earth continues its slow turning, carrying the darkness toward dawn, everything remains wrapped in rest, waiting patiently for light to return when it is ready. The night begins to thin in the most subtle way. It is not light yet, not even the promise of light. It is only a faint shift in the quality of darkness, as if the sky has taken a slow breath and softened its grip. The world remains asleep, but the deep stillness of midnight has begun to change into the softer stillness that comes before dawn. Inside the house, sleep continues. The body remains heavy, relaxed, untroubled. Breathing is slow and even, guided by instinct alone. There is no awareness of the room, no sense of time passing. Rest holds steady, deep, and complete. The air feels fresher, cooler, cleaner, as if the night has rinsed the world and left it quiet. It settles gently around the sleeping body, touching skin with softness, never sharp enough to disturb. Outside, the sky remains dark. Stars still shine, but their brightness feels quieter now. They do not disappear all at once. They simply begin to fade slowly, as if stepping back to make room for what will come next. Dew sits heavy on the land. Grass bends under its cool weight. Leaves hold tiny droplets that catch faint starlight before slipping back into shadow. Fences and rooftops are coated in moisture, the world prepared for morning long before morning arrives. Animals stir faintly. A horse shifts its weight somewhere in the dark, then becomes still again. A dog sighs softly behind a closed door. These small movements do not break the silence. They belong to it. In the distance, a bird moves. Not a call yet, just a rustle, a quiet stirring in the trees. The world is preparing itself to wake, but it does so politely, slowly, without rush. Inside, awareness floats closer to the surface of sleep. Not waking, not thinking. Just drifting upward, as if the mind has risen slightly toward consciousness. Dreams, if they pass now, are lighter and less deep, like mist across a field, fading before they can be held. The house remains steady. Wooden beams hold firm, walls protect. The roof shields against the cool air outside. This structure has endured countless nights and mornings, and it stands now as it always has, quiet and reliable. Time begins to feel possible again, not as a schedule, not as pressure, just as a gentle forward motion. Night is still here, but it is beginning to loosen its hold. This is the hour before dawn, a calm bridge between darkness and light, a soft pause between sleep and waking, a moment that belongs fully to quiet. In 1776, America, dawn does not arrive suddenly. It approaches slowly, respectfully, as if careful not to disturb the stillness the night has created. And as the sky continues its gradual change, sleep remains gentle and steady, holding everything in place until the day is ready to begin again. The world changes in whispers. If you are awake, truly awake, you might not even notice it at first. You might think the darkness is the same as it has been for hours. But the night has begun to shift, and it does so with the quiet patience of something ancient and certain. The sky is still dark, yes, but it is no longer the deepest dark. It has softened into a shade of blue so deep it could be mistaken for black, a color that feels like velvet stretched across the world. Stars remain, but their sharpness has faded slightly. Their light seems gentler now, less bright, as if it has traveled farther. Outside, the town remains asleep. The dirt street lies empty. Wooden walls hold their silence. Doors remain closed, their iron hinges still, their latches untouched. No lanterns glow. No windows show light. In this world, Night is truly night, and it belongs to rest. The air's cool and clean. It carries the scent of wet earth and grass. Dew has settled heavily, and its presence can be felt even without seeing it, as if the world has been washed and left to dry in darkness. The smell is fresh and simple, free of anything sharp, free of anything modern. In the fields beyond the town, the land rests in layers. Grass lies damp and heavy. Fence rails shine faintly where dew clings to them. The outlines of trees stand as soft silhouettes, their branches still, their leaves quiet. Even the spaces between objects feel calmer, as if the night has filled them with a gentle weight. Somewhere in the distance, water moves. A stream continues its slow path through the dark, unseen but constant. Its presence is not loud. It is a quiet certainty. It moves because it always has, because the land guides it, because time guides everything. A faint breeze passes through. It is not strong enough to shake branches. It only stirs the tops of grass, brushing them lightly as it moves. It carries coolness with it, and it carries the promise of change, though it does not announce what kind of change that will be. Animals sense this hour. They do not wake fully, but they respond in small ways. A horse shifts its weight, then settles again. A bird turns on its branch, feathers rustling softly, then grows still. A dog breathes out a slow sigh behind a closed door, the sound deep and quiet. Inside the house, sleep still holds you. The body remains heavy, warm, settled into its most natural stillness. Breathing is steady and slow, the kind of breathing that belongs to deep rest. The chest rises, then falls gently, almost imperceptibly. Each breath seems to carry calm deeper into the body. The room remains dark. The hearth is only a faint warmth now, if anything at all. The candle has long since gone out, yet the space feels safe. The walls are close enough to protect, far enough not to feel tight. The house is sturdy, familiar, shaped by years of living. In this darkness, the mind rests without effort. Thoughts do not form. Plans do not appear. Memory stays quiet. If dreams drift through, they drift without shape, without story, like smoke sliding across a ceiling and disappearing before it can be seen. Time is still unmeasured here. There is no ticking, no counting, no sense of minutes slipping by. The night does not ask to be tracked. It only asks to be trusted. And it is trusted. In 1776, America, people do not fight the night. They accept it. They yield to it. They let it do what it was always meant to do: to quiet the mind, to slow the body, to prepare the world for morning. Somewhere very far away, the edge of the horizon is beginning to change. Not light yet, not dawn yet, just the faintest suggestion that the night will not last forever. But here, in this moment, the darkness is still gentle, still complete, still holding everything in calm. Dawn begins long before the sun is seen. It begins as a feeling in the air, a subtle lifting of the night's weight. It begins as a softening of shadows, as if darkness has decided to become kinder, thinner, less absolute. The world is still asleep, yet the sky is quietly changing, turning itself toward morning with the patience of something that has done this countless times. Outside, the horizon begins to pale. Not bright, not clear, just slightly lighter than the sky above it, a gentle band of color that suggests the day is somewhere nearby, moving closer at its own unhurried pace. The shift is so slow it almost feels imagined. The town remains still. Wooden buildings stand like quiet shapes against the fading dark. Roof lines are barely visible. Fence posts emerge faintly from shadow, like memories returning. The dirt road, once invisible, begins to show itself again, a soft line through the sleeping world. No one is awake yet. Doors remain closed, windows remain dark, chimneys do not smoke. The world is quiet enough that even the smallest sound would feel large, and so nothing dares to be loud. The air feels fresher now, cooler than during the night, but clean and gentle. It carries the scent of dew, damp wood, and soil. Breathing it in feels like drinking something clear. It fills the lungs easily, smooth and calm. Dew is everywhere. Grass is heavy with it, shining faintly as the sky begins to lighten. Leaves hold droplets along their edges, each one catching and releasing the smallest hints of light. Wooden rails and fence posts are damp to the touch. The land seems washed, ready. In the fields beyond the town, the shapes of the world return slowly. Tree lines become clearer. The outline of a distant barn or shed emerges. The gentle slope of the land appears again, revealed in soft gradients rather than sharp lines. Birds begin to prepare, not singing yet, but shifting, turning on branches, settling their feathers, a quiet rustle here and there, then stillness again. They sense the approach of day the way the land does, instinctively. A single bird calls, just once. A small sound, tentative, as if testing the air. It does not break the silence. It becomes part of it, like a single note in a slow piece of music. Inside the house, sleep continues, but it begins to loosen. The body remains heavy, still warm beneath blankets, still protected by wood and roof. Breathing is slow and steady, but the rhythm shifts slightly. The pauses between breaths shorten a little. Each inhale grows a touch deeper. Awareness begins to float upward, still far from waking, but closer than before. The room is still dark, but not as deep. A faint gray-blue begins to gather at the edges of the window. The glass, imperfect and thick, holds the first hint of morning like water holding light. The walls remain shadowed, but the darkness feels thinner, softer. The house itself seems to know this hour. It creaks faintly as wood responds to cooling air and the slow return of light. The sound is small and familiar, like a quiet reminder that the world is still here, steady, unchanged. Outside, the horizon brightens further. Pale blue turns to softer gray, then to a hint of warmth. It is not sunrise yet, but the promise of it is becoming clearer. The world feels as if it is inhaling, preparing to wake. This is the gentle bridge between night and day, the moment when nothing is demanded, when rest is still honored, when the world begins again without forcing itself. In 1776 America, dawn is not an interruption, it is a slow invitation. And as the sky continues to lighten and the land begins to show itself fully once more, sleep remains calm and steady, allowing the night to finish its work before the day begins. Morning approaches like a quiet visitor, careful with every step. The sky has shifted now into a softer, paler blue, and the world beneath it begins to reveal its edges again. Darkness still exists in pockets, in corners, beneath trees, behind buildings, but it no longer rules everything. It has stepped back politely, making room for the day without a fight. Outside, the horizon grows brighter, not white, not sharp, but gently luminous, like light diffused through thin cloth. A faint warmth begins to appear there, almost invisible at first, then slowly more certain. The land remains still, yet it feels as if it is preparing itself, as if it is waking quietly from within. The town begins to reappear. Roof lines become clearer. Fence posts regain their shapes. The dirt road shows itself again, its uneven surface hinted at by soft light. Wooden walls that were only silhouettes now carry texture, grain, and age. Everything looks slightly damp. Dew coats the world in a thin sheen. Grass glistens faintly. The edges of leaves shine where droplets cling. Wooden rails look darker with moisture, their surfaces catching the light in small, quiet flashes. There is still no human sound, no footsteps on the street, no doors opening, no voices. Just the steady hush of morning building itself. Birdsong begins slowly, not as a sudden chorus, but as single calls, spaced apart. One bird sings once, then stops. Another answers faintly from farther away. The sounds are gentle, soft enough to blend into the quiet rather than break it. A breeze returns, cooler than yesterday's afternoon, fresh and clean. It moves through the town without disturbing it, brushing against walls, sliding along the road, lifting the scent of dew from grass. It carries the smell of earth, damp wood, and distant water, layered and calm. In the fields, the world looks peaceful and ready. The soil is dark and damp, holding moisture from the night. Fence lines stretch into the distance. Trees stand steady, their leaves still mostly quiet. The open sky above makes everything feel wide, spacious, uncluttered. Inside the house, sleep loosens further. The body remains heavy, but awareness begins to rise closer to the surface. Breathing changes subtly again. The inhale becomes fuller, the exhale shorter. The rhythm still feels calm, but it begins to move toward waking without forcing it. A faint gray-blue light gathers at the window. It spills gently into the room, touching the nearest wall first, then sliding across the floorboards in a soft, pale strip. The light is not strong enough to brighten the room fully, but it begins to shape it again. Furniture returns slowly from shadow. The table's outline becomes visible. The chair beside it reappears. The hearth, dark and quiet, holds a faint memory of warmth. The room remains peaceful, unchanged, familiar. The air inside feels cool and clean. It carries the scent of wood and ash, softened by the night. The house feels steady, protective, a quiet shelter that has held countless nights like this and will hold countless more. Outside, morning continues its gentle arrival. The horizon grows warmer, hinting at gold. The sky becomes clearer. The land looks washed and calm, ready for another ordinary day to begin. This is the moment before waking, the last quiet breath of night. The soft bridge between rest and routine. The calm pause before the first human movement returns. In 1776, America, mornings do not shout. They whisper. And as the light continues to spread, the world remains gentle, allowing sleep to release its hold naturally, one slow breath at a time. The first true light of day begins to touch the world. It does not flood the sky. It does not strike the land sharply. It arrives the way everything arrives in this time, with patience. The horizon brightens into a soft, pale gold, and that warmth spreads slowly, as if it is careful not to disturb the peace left behind by night. Outside, the town becomes clearer. Wooden walls show their grain. Roof shingles become visible as separate lines rather than a single shadow. The dirt street reveals small stones, shallow ruts, and the faint marks left by yesterday's cartwheels. Everything looks quiet, damp, and still, as though the world has been washed and left to dry. Dew glitters faintly. In the grass along the road, tiny droplets catch the new light and shine briefly like small pieces of glass. On fence rails, moisture reflects pale gold before dripping down. Leaves hold beads of water along their edges, each droplet trembling slightly when the breeze moves through. The air feels crisp. It is cool, but not harsh, filled with that clean scent that belongs only to early morning. Damp earth, fresh wood, a faint hint of smoke, lingering from old fires, softened by the night. Breathing feels easy, smooth, quiet. Birdsong grows more confident. Calls become more frequent, still gentle, still spaced out. But now they begin to overlap slightly, forming a loose pattern. It is not loud. It is not excited. It is simply the sound of life returning. Somewhere in the distance, an animal stirs more noticeably. A horse shifts and snorts softly. A chicken clucks once. The sounds are faint, but they begin to suggest that the world is waking not all at once, but piece by piece, like a slow unfolding. Inside the house, the room continues to brighten. Light touches the floorboards first, then slides farther across the room. It reaches the legs of the table, the edge of a chair, the lower stones of the hearth. Shadows retreat gently, not disappearing, only moving aside. The body remains asleep, but the sleep is lighter now. Breathing is still steady, still calm, yet awareness floats closer to the surface. The mind does not think yet. It does not plan. It only begins to sense the world again. The temperature of the air, the softness of blankets, the quiet presence of the room. A small movement, a slight shift of the shoulder, a deeper inhale, a quiet exhale. Not waking fully, but beginning to rise toward it, slowly, naturally, without force. The house feels peaceful in morning light. Wood looks warmer, surfaces look softer. The room's simplicity becomes clearer. A few practical objects, each used often, each placed where it belongs. Nothing decorative for its own sake. Everything here exists to serve life. Outside, the horizon warms further. Gold becomes more present, spreading into the sky. The first touch of sunlight reaches the tops of trees, catching leaves and branches, turning them briefly brighter. The land still feels quiet, but the quiet now feels awake rather than asleep. The day is ready, not demanding, not urgent, just waiting. In 1776, America, the morning does not pull anyone out of bed with noise. It invites them out with light. It suggests movement by changing the air, by warming the horizon, by bringing birdsong and soft warmth into the world. It respects rest, allowing it to complete itself fully. And as the room brightens and the town slowly returns to life, the last calm traces of night remain beneath everything, like a quiet undercurrent, carrying peace forward into the hours ahead. Morning has now fully taken its place, but it still carries the softness of the night that came before. The sky is pale and open, and the light feels clean, almost gentle, as if it has not yet decided to become bright. It spreads evenly across the town and the fields beyond, revealing details slowly and kindly rather than all at once. Outside, the street looks calm and damp. The dirt is darker from moisture, packed firm with shallow impressions left behind by yesterday's footsteps and cartwheels. Small stones sit half buried along the road, and the edges of the path blend into grass that still bends under dew. Wooden houses stand close together, their walls weathered and uneven, shaped by years of wind and rain. Their windows reflect morning light softly, imperfect glass bending the world just slightly. Rooflines cut simple shapes against the sky. Dew continues to sparkle in small places, in the grass, on fence rails, along the edges of leaves. Each droplet catches the light for a moment, then disappears again as the breeze shifts or the sun climbs higher. The air smells of morning, damp earth, fresh wood, a faint trace of smoke, old and softened, clean sky. Breathing it in feels grounding. It fills the lungs easily and leaves the chest calm, as if the body's being reminded that the day can be lived slowly. Birdsong now forms a gentle background, not loud, not chaotic. A soft pattern of calls, spaced and calm, rising and falling in a way that feels natural. There is no urgency in it, only life returning. Inside the house, light has reached farther. It spills across the floorboards, pale and cool, touching the table legs, the edge of the hearth, the folds of cloth left carefully in place. Shadows still exist, but they are no longer heavy. They feel light, soft, like quiet corners rather than darkness. The body begins to wake, not suddenly, not sharply. The eyes remain closed at first, but the breath shifts. A deeper inhale, a longer pause, a slow exhale. Awareness returns like a slow tide coming in. The blankets feel heavy and warm. Wool holds the night's warmth against the body, making waking feel gentle rather than abrupt. The air outside the blankets is cooler, but it does not feel harsh. It feels fresh. A small movement comes again. A hand shifts. Fingers flex slowly. A shoulder rolls slightly, releasing tension that isn't even fully felt. Then, stillness again. Waking in this world is not a leap. It is a slow rise. The mind returns without rushing to fill itself. There are no screens waiting, no messages, no urgent sounds. Only the room, the light, the air, and the quiet certainty that another ordinary day has begun. Outside, the town begins to stir very gently. A door opens somewhere down the street. It creaks softly. A moment later, footsteps step onto the dirt, slow and steady. A voice speaks briefly, low and calm, then fades. These sounds are small, and they do not disturb the peace. They blend into it. A faint chimney smoke appears, thin, pale, drifting upward in a slow line before dissolving into the sky. The smell of fresh fire begins to return, carrying the promise of warmth and food. In the distance, a cartwheel turns. Wood against earth, a low rolling sound that travels softly across the open air. It slows, then stops. Quiet returns. Inside the house, the body finally sits up. Movements are slow. The spine straightens gently. The head tilts slightly, taking in the room. The eyes may open now, adjusting to pale light. The day feels present, but not demanding. This is how ordinary mornings begin in 1776 America. With light, with breath, with small, steady movements. No alarms, no hurry, only the natural return of routine. And as the morning settles fully into place, the peace of the night remains close, folded gently into the day, reminding you that life can be lived at the pace of human hands and human breathing. The day is awake now, fully and quietly, and the world feels steady in the way only ordinary life can feel steady. Morning light rests across the town and the fields beyond, soft but certain. It has the clean, calm clarity of early hours, before the sun grows stronger, before the air warms too much. Everything looks freshly revealed, as if the night has carefully put the world away and morning has gently taken it out again. Outside, the street carries the first slow signs of movement. Not bustle, not noise, just life returning in small pieces. A door opens, a step touches dirt. A voice speaks softly, then fades. A cartwheel rolls a short distance, wood turning against packed earth, then stops. A horse shifts and breathes out a quiet snort. A chicken clucks once, as if testing the day. The town remains calm. Wooden homes stand close together, their walls warmed by light. The glass in the windows catches pale brightness and bends it slightly, making reflections shimmer softly. Fence rails still look damp, and grass still holds dew, though the droplets are beginning to disappear as the sun climbs. The air is cool and clear. It smells of earth and fresh wood. It carries a faint trace of smoke from new fires being built. The smell thin and clean at this hour. Breathing feels easy. The chest rises and falls without effort. The body feels grounded, present, calm. Inside the house, the morning feels gentle. The room is brighter now, but not harsh. Light lies across the floorboards in soft bands. The table's worn surface shows its scratches and smooth places, the marks left by years of use. The hearth sits quiet, waiting, holding the memory of last night's warmth. The body feels rested, not energized like a machine, but refreshed in a human way. The kind of rest that does not make you want to rush into the day, but makes you willing to meet it when it arrives. A slow stretch. Arms lift slightly, shoulders loosen. The spine straightens without strain. Fingers open and close gently, as if reminding themselves they exist. The mind stays quiet. There are no sudden thoughts pressing in. No urgent plans. No noise demanding attention. The morning has space, and the mind does not fill it too quickly. It simply notices the cool air, the pale light, the quiet world beyond the window. This is what everyday life feels like in 1776 America. Life measured by light and habit, by the body's quiet signals, by the steady needs of home and land. There's no rush to be productive, no pressure to fill every moment, only routine, practiced and calm. And that routine is gentle. A fire will be built again, a kettle will warm, bread will be sliced, Water will be carried. Work will begin when the day asks for it, not by command, but by quiet agreement. Outside, the horizon brightens further. The sky grows a little warmer in color. Birds sing more often now, still soft, still calm, their voices spreading lightly through open air. The breeze moves through grass, and dew lifts into the morning, disappearing without drama. The world is ready to repeat itself, not in a dull way, in a comforting way. Because repetition here means stability. It means survival. It means calm certainty. And as this ordinary day begins to unfold again, it does so the same way it always has. Slowly, quietly, with no need for haste. So, if you are listening and still awake, let your thoughts remain soft and unfocused. Let the story's calm stay with you. And if sleep has already taken you, let it hold you a while longer. This has been an ordinary day in 1776 America. A day of quiet routines, gentle light, warmth by fire, and a night that arrived without fear. Thank you for being here with Story of America. Good night.